Welcome back to Adri's Homestead Life. Today we are going to do a full bee inspection and we are going to check on honey. How much honey we've got, if we've got enough to harvest some honey, extract some honey. So let's do this. I would like to talk about bees while we are doing this inspection. I'm getting ready the smoker because we are doing a full inspection. I like to have the smoker on hand just in case I need it, and I probably will need it. The first one, oh, it's a bit stuck. This is my first hive. I've got 2 supers on, and actually, spoiler alert, this is my strongest hive, and this is the one what we're going to harvest the honey from. Right, so in the UK, every 3rd mouthful of food we eat is available because of the honeybee. Honeybee is the 3rd most important domestic animal after cattle and pigs. The small insect as a bee can see in colors and can switches to black and white while flying at speed to conserve resources. Oh, here we go, the first one's out. And I think this is gonna be fully cut now. This is going to be ready to harvest. It is amazing. Right, the colony has 1 queen, which is the only bee able to lay fertilized eggs. Bee genetics is complicated, but you only need to understand that the queen can lay both fertile and unfertile eggs. Both are fertile and they will hatch and develop into adults, but fertilized eggs develop into female workers, while unfertilized eggs produce male drones. A queen can live for 4 to 5 years, using the sperm she received when she mated. Mating kills the drone, which falls away and his place is then taken by the next one. We now know that the virgin queen can mate with 10 to 20 drones. I'm showing you in here now all the cupped cells. This is going to the extraction room. The queen stores the sperm she receives in a small organ in her abdomen, and this has a valve on the opening which allows her to fertilize an egg before she lays it, or not, as the case may be. Drones cannot collect nectar and pollen. The vast majority of the bees in a colony are female workers, which are responsible for most of the tasks required for colony survival. The house bee starts by cleaning cells, ready for the queen to lay eggs in them. She then moves on to feeding larvae, first the older ones, and then brood. Food glands in her head develop as younger ones. She tends and feeds the queen, and then when her wax glands become active, she secretes beeswax and uses it to make a repair comb. At around 10 to 12 days old, she starts receiving nectar from incoming foragers. The action of enzyme, coupled with a reduction in water content, converts nectar to honey, which is then stored in cells within the nest. At about 3 weeks of age, she is ready to become a forager. But before she takes up this role, she may spend some time on guard duty, defending the entrance against robber bees from other colonies or pests, as wasps. Before she starts foraging, the worker needs to learn the location of her nest. First, she takes hovering flights facing the hive entrance. She then makes wider and wider circles until she feels confident enough to fly away from the hive. The worker's main foraging target is nectar. She brings this back in her honey crop, situated within her thorax. She'll also bring pollen back, packed into pollen basket, on her back legs. This provides the colony's protein. The colony also needs water, and foragers bring this back in the crop. Bees need water for their own survival, but they also use it in the nest to dilute stored honey before feeding it to the larvae and to spread on the surface of the comb to cool the nest by evaporation. Propolis is a sticky resin exuded by various trees. Foragers collect this, pack it into their pollen baskets and take it back to the nest. Here a house bee will help to unload it and then use it to fill up cracks in the hive or strengthen the surface edge of the combs. Some colonies use propolis to control the size of the entrance, reducing it a few bee-sized holes. Foraging is hard work, and within 2 or 3 weeks, the worker is worn out and will die. At the height of the active season, she therefore lives only for some 5 to 6 weeks. However, when the colony clusters during the winter, the worker's physiology alters and she is able to live 5 to 6 months. Bees are insects. Their body is in 3 parts: head, thorax, and abdomen. I'm showing you in here the cupped honey, and also there were some larvae. They've got 3 pairs of legs and 2 pairs of wings are all attached to the thorax. Each bee has 2 compound eyes and 3 simple eyes on their head, together with 2 antennae. The male is the drone. There are 2 types of female, the queen and the worker. The queen is the mother of all the bees in the colony. She has longer legs and longer, more pointed abdomen that the worker has. Many people expect her to be much larger than workers, but this is not the case. The drone is also slightly larger and much more burly than the worker. He can be distinguished by the square end to his abdomen and his very large compound eyes. All honeybees have 5 eyes, 3 simple eyes placed on the top of the head and 2 large compound eyes on either side. The worker is the smallest. Her main distinguishing feature is the pair of pollen basket on her hind legs. The leg joint is flattened and surrounded by a fringe. It's stiff, with like little stiff hairs. Rows of stiff hairs on the inside of each leg are used to brush pollen grains from her body and pass them to the back legs. As she rubs her back legs together, the pollen is forced through a specially adopted joint into the pollen basket. Most people are aware that bees can sting. However, they do not realize that the drone has no sting and that of the queen is smoother and used only during fights, which rivals in the nest when more than one queen is present. This is generally during the swarming process, when several virgin queens are reared and they fight until only one remains, which flies out to mate before returning to head the colony. The worker uses her sting to defend the colony. It is barbed, which allows it to hook into the enemy so that venom can be delivered at the sting site. However, the barbs prevent her from withdrawing it from a surface such as human skin, and when she flies off, the sting mechanism tears from her body and results in her ultimate death. The queen's larger abdomen contains 2 ovaries, a non-fertilized egg resulting in a drone. How are we doing in here? I think I'm keep switching. I'm getting it ready now, which one fully capped, which one we're going to extract very soon. And I'm going to leave that on the top. For the first 3 days, all larvae are fed royal jelly. After this time, the diets of the worker and drone are changed to brood food. At the 5th molt, the larva changes to pupa and metamorphosis to the adult form begins. Queen cells are completely different and hang down from the face of the edge of the comb. In the spring, workers begin to construct queen cells which look like acorn cups. Right, I think I'm having some problem with this smoker. Sometimes I'm just doing such a good job and it literally lasts, half an hour, even up to an hour. I've got actually 2 smokers in here already. One is on a fence just behind me. And I use quite a few things now, like papers, wood shavings, even cones. But yeah, I am so happy with this bee inspection because I've not done a bee inspection for at least 4 weeks, so I really didn't know what to expect. And going through these hives, I have to say that I was really happy. So I've got 5 hives. All 5 have queen in them, although I've only seen 1. But I've seen brood, I've seen larvae, and I've seen, 5 active hives. It's a very good sign. I absolutely love doing the bee inspection. I know it's not too good to disturb them too often, so 2 to 3 weeks in the summertime it's more than enough. I'm showing you in here the busy bees with some brood, capped brood. There's that many bees on this frame that you can't even actually see much. I wasn't sure what I tried to show you in here. I think I just tried to show you some the larvae in all stages there. This little handy tool, it's really good to take in each of the frames out of the hive, because it's really hard to take it out. Yeah. I cannot believe how calm this hive is compared to the last one when we get to that. Wow. That was a swarm I've collected a couple of months ago. They are vicious still. Honestly, I haven't even opened for 3 seconds and they were attacking me. But they're doing really well, but they're different. I don't know where they came from. They're like a smaller species, like smaller bees. But they are doing well, so I just leave them to it. But yeah, during the autumn and winter time, we just leave the hive alone. And soon spring comes, they start to, come out, leave the hives, go to the toilet.
and start foraging the first flowers, the crocuses, the snowdrops and daffodils, so on. And I start to do the bee inspection, the first one in the spring, mid-spring. It all depends on the weather. It needs to be at least 15-17 degrees Celsius when I open the hive. And it's always a bit nerve-wracking if they survived or what to expect after the cold winter months. But I was really lucky this year because I had a very, very good year. All my hives survived. And this inspection was fantastic. I was really, really happy. Keep check. It was a lovely day as well. It wasn't too hot. It's quite cold actually for July, mid-July. I'm not sure if we had 20 or 17 degrees or something like that, like really cold for summer. But that was actually really nice. So I taking my time, inspecting them, looking for the queen. I just love it really. I became a beekeeper just over 3 years ago. I was so excited, I went for a course first and I bought these books like the Bee Manual and was just reading to you. And I could not wait to start this journey. I had all these thoughts in my head. It's not the fact that I have honey. That was probably last in my mind. But actually to learn more about these amazing creatures and what they do, to the garden, to the flowers, and how important they are. Just to get the message across. Like, as we said, they are literally one of the most important animal we can, appreciate around us. All the bonus, they can give us honey. That's just a bonus. Another thing, you always need to be careful how much honey you extract, because they need to feed themselves, and especially for the winter months when there's nothing available for them. But I was lucky enough to have honey from them this year. Actually, we harvested 28 kilograms, which is an enormous amount of honey. But because, that was just a good year. And they still got plenty in their hives. And it's only mid-July. I've also made my very first candle using beeswax last year. That was very exciting. And I started making all the lip balm, hand cream using beeswax. What is just amazing. I am showing something in here. I'm not sure, can't really see it. Oh, there's a cupped brood cells. It's a very nice frame. Oh, here's the next one. I never know what to expect when I do an inspection after a good few weeks. I have an idea, when you look in the entrance, you can see they are busy. And this hive it's got one super on, so I've got the brood box and one super. And as I can see that it's like a medium strength, so it's not a super strong hive, but it is a very good hive. I'm sure this one had quite a bit of honey as well, but I left that for them. So when I was growing up, my dad was a beekeeper, so I did have a bit of an experience, and I remember when we were extracting the honey and then we going to feed them, and Dad used to make the frames at home, and the smell and everything just brings me right back to my childhood, and it's just an amazing feeling. And it just I want to be like an even better beekeeper. I'm showing you in here, so very busy in the frame. had lots of honey in it. It just wasn't cupped yet. So yeah, and since I became a beekeeper, I've learned an enormous about the bees. And I know I still need to learn a lot more, but I'm willing to do and spread the world how important they are. I love to see them in the garden, you know. I am now researching what flowers they like and sow seeds, plant those flowers in my garden and everywhere. You know, try to provide them food all year round as much as I can possible, although they can travel 3 miles radius, so they'll probably end up being everywhere in my neighborhood, wherever is food available, whatever they can harvest. But it's like literally like an all year round excitement when I see them around, and when the first crocuses or snowdrops, you know, come and open after the long winter, and I see them to come in on those, you know, out of the hive and landing on these flowers and enjoying their first food. And obviously the late spring, summer, autumn time it's a very good time for them. I feed them if they haven't got enough honey, I feed them sugar water as well if it's needed. Reduce the entrance of the hive so the mice, you know, can't get in. Just a few things what need to be aware of to protect them. We don't have really cold winters. I remember as a child we had such a cold winters, and the bees, you know, survived. So here in the UK it's really easy, to be honest. I'm happy. The smoke is working. It's working finally. Right. Let's do this. I'm always looking for to see the queen, but it's so hard to spot that queen. Honestly, it's only just like slightly larger than the normal hunt, like a worker bee, and they hide. So it's a pure luck. And to be honest, it's very rare when I see them. You can put like a little dot on them. You know, like every year has got like their color, like a different color. But I've used it for the first few years, but now I've just stopped doing that. These were my dogs actually. You okay, Luz? Yeah? I just have them treats. But they are a bit busy now. And all these bees are around the camera. So I had to do a voiceover because when they get to my camera, the little, you know, it's just ridiculous. You get into the mic and just make these really, really disturbing sound. They are very busy now by the entrance. Is it working? The smoke. I think I'm having problems again there. Look. That's something I need to work on. Right, I've also been learning how to use up honey. Recently I've been researching and learning so I can make some tinctures. So I don't necessarily have to use alcohol or glycerin. I can use honey. So that's something interesting I would love to have a go at. Right, I think we are nearly coming to the end of our inspection, and I think I am very, very happy with everything I've seen so far, because at the beginning of the summer I'm sure I had in a couple of hives a lane worker. That happens when something happened to the queen and one of the worker bee decides to lay eggs, the only problem with that is that all the eggs become drones because they're not fertile eggs, and it's just a mess in a hive. You don't really want that problem. It's not an easy thing to resolve, but I've made the decision this year just to leave it to the bees, and I think they've sorted it out. So sometimes it's just the best to just leave it to them. Right. Keep looking for the queen. But probably is not there, otherwise I would be running to the camera and show you. Right. Next to me there is a huge walnut tree and chestnut and an apple in the middle, small apple tree. I have an apple orchard, and in early spring when all the flowers, blossom, that is just like a heaven for the bees, and they are buzzing, especially on the apple and on a cherry blossom as well, on the cherry trees. It's amazing. Right, here I come. Show me something there. Yeah, I'm happy. Cupped brood cells and some larvae. It's not really visible, just about. Oh, I think my hut is in a way. Next time I need to kind of get those frames a bit closer to the camera if I want to show something particular. But this hive I'm very happy with it. It's quite a few frames. It's covered with honey. Sorry, with bees. I also love it's a very good sign to see when in the spring and all the pollen goes in. It's usually a good sign that when they're ready for the new year. They've got laying queen, and I absolutely love watching the pollen, going in the hive with all different pollens. That's another thing. There is like a chart where you can see on which flower they've been on, because they've got different pollens on their legs. Phacelia is one of the most fascinating, this purple mauvey color pollen they bring in from them. So since then I always or try to sow some seeds, some Phacelia. I had the Neapolitanal this year, but probably that's not enough to see. We'll need probably a larger area full of Phacelia to see that those beautiful pollens that much bringing in. Right, I think I'm pretty much done with this inspection now for at least for 3 weeks. And I know some beekeepers extract honey 3 times a year, like spring, summer, autumn. I usually do it twice. So we'll see how it goes in late summer, early autumn, and what's the weather like as well, because that's really depends on the weather, this hobby of ours, the beekeeping journey. So I have started, happy there, thumbs up. I started with 1 hive 3 years ago, and now I've got 5. Okay, let's get to the annex and I'll show you how I extract the honey. Let's put this back together. A queen excluder, so the queen cannot escape and go up to the brood box to lay eggs there. So that's the queen excluder put on. And the brood box and the lid. Welcome to the annex, and we are extracting the honey. I'm telling you, this little tool, that knife, it's heated, but it works as a treat. It's amazing to uncup the honey. I'm focusing there really well. This is just the setup just works for me. So we're just uncupping the honey on both sides, and then we're going to put it in a honey extractor. Alan is there waiting for me when I'm ready. He's helping me. So we can put 3 frames in our extractor at one time. So we do the one side, then we swap, do it again, and then it's done. And after we finish with all the frames, they just straight go back to the hives. And the bees will sort it out. You see how full, beautifully full that frame is, full of honey. It's amazing. Honestly, this knife is a life changer experience with it. I would highly recommend, if you are a beekeeper, to purchase this uncupping knife, because it's amazing. It really, really works well. The only thing what I found with it, that it gets a bit too hot. So what I do, I switch it on and off, you know, as it goes, as I feel there is a need for it. But otherwise, I love it. And actually, whatever comes off, I will use that to make lip balm or cream, lotion, candle. Can't wait. There we go. Nearly done. And the honey, honestly, it tastes divine. And every time when I extract the honey, it's always kind of different color and different taste. It's quite spectacular. Right, so just a little taste of how we extract the honey. I'll show you the extractor now. And we need to turn when we're ready. Not fast, but not too fast, because if you do it too fast, then that can damage the frame. So we just start with like these small motions and build it up, but not too fast. That's the maximum speed what Alan does now. It's like a perfect speed to extract the honey from those frames. So we go for about, a good 30 seconds, and then we slow it down, and then we swap those frames, the same frames, and we do it again for another minute, and it's done. So now he slows it down. And he will take the frames out. There we go. Nearly stopped. And it's a magic. And now the frame is very light. So we started with really heavy frames. And here comes the liquid gold. It's our delicious honey. Look at this. Isn't it amazing? Let's go back to the kitchen and put them all in the jars. Right. Let's open this up. I've just weighed that, and it's this time we managed to harvest 8 kilograms of pure honey. So we are now 28 kilograms this year. I bought these brand new jars. All just came out from the dishwasher. Dried. And ready to pour the honey in them. Wow. It always amazes me. Every time we do this. Because I just think how hard the bees had to work to provide us with this liquid gold. Okay. Now let's put them in the jars, just show you the color. Look at this shiny, beautiful honey. And in they go to the jar. I've also ordered my personalized little stickers, goes on these jars. I think it's very cute. And look at this, we've managed to get all this honey. Isn't that wonderful? All these jars are now filled with pure honey from our apiary. And this is the sticker I was on about. Pure Honey by Adri. Well, I hope you enjoyed the bee inspection and the honey extraction with me. See you very soon. Bye, friends.